Hi guys, JT here, and today I'm bringing you some information on 10 games in Fanatical's Platinum Collection of June 2026. To help you answer the question, should you buy it? By using the links in the description below, you'll gain access to this bundle and support the channel in the process. Before I begin, I'd like to thank you the viewers for watching my videos. I hope they're helpful. Most importantly, knowing that you're watching it means the world. Anyway, let's get into this. At number 1 we have Metro Exodus Gold Edition, a post-apocalyptic first-person shooter that takes you out of the bleak subterranean Moscow tunnels from previous games and places you onto the irradiated Russian surface. Escaping aboard a train with a small crew, you guide the silent protagonist Artyom through an adventure that alternates between sprawling sandbox-like regions and traditional linear corridors. The biggest shift you'll notice is the freedom of exploration. You encounter vast open landscapes like a swampy coastal region or a dusty desert, where you navigate hazards, use binoculars to map points of interest, and modify your weapons in real time. The environmental detail is excellent. You'll wipe mutated creature fluids from your gas mask and watch leaves blow past in beautifully harrowing outdoor settings. The atmosphere is deeply immersive, occasionally highlighted by spontaneous human moments with your crew or enemies surrendering when they lose the will to fight. However, you must also contend with significant tonal and technical roughness. The story itself often feels like a hodgepodge of famous sci-fi influences, ranging from Mad Max to Alien, wrapped around a fairly standard military action plot. Mechanically, you might get snagged on invisible geometry, experience inconsistent prompt triggers during stealth, and struggle with an annoying checkpoint save system. Furthermore, the game eventually pulls you back into constricted underground tunnels, abandoning the liberating surface mechanics just as you grow fond of them. It is a flawed but highly atmospheric journey that expands your series' horizon, proving it can never truly return to simple tunnel vision. The Metro Exodus Gold Edition delivers the ultimate post-apocalyptic experience, combining the complete base game with a comprehensive expansion pass. The edition includes 2 major DLC packs, the 2 Kernels, a gripping linear narrative following Colonel Khlebnikov through the claustrophobic deadly tunnels of Novosibirsk with a new flamethrower weapon, and Sam's Story, an expansive open-world sandbox journey where an American Marine fights through the ruined, flooded landscape in a desperate bid to return home to the United States. At number 2 we have Coma 2B Catacomb, a side-scrolling survival horror game that continues the eerie psychological nightmare of Young-Ho Choi. Set between the Coma 1 and the Coma 2, you'll once again navigate a terrifying distorted world where reality and nightmare intertwine. The game brings back familiar mechanics, hiding from threats, scavenging for supplies, and managing your stamina as you evade relentless horrors. The tension is palpable, thanks to Devora's stunning hand-drawn art and unsettling atmosphere. However, difficulty spikes are more aggressive than before, often turning fear into frustration. The game's reliance on traps and scripted damage can feel excessive, sometimes punishing you unfairly rather than building suspense organically. Story-wise, the narrative delves deeper into Young-Ho's psyche, exploring his entrapment in a nightmarish time loop. The lore remains a strong point, making you eager to unravel the mystery. However, pacing issues and puzzles that feel more like roadblocks than brain teasers hold it back from matching the impact of its predecessors. Visually, it is as stunning as ever, with fluid animation and environments dripping in eerie detail. Performance is flawless on PC, ensuring an immersive experience without technical hiccups. Despite being the weakest entry in the series, Coma 2 Catacomb still offers an engaging horror experience. If you're a fan of the franchise, the deeper lore and haunting atmosphere make it worth playing. Just be prepared for a few frustrating moments. At number 3 we have The Executive Movie Industry Tycoon, a sandbox business simulation that allows you to rewrite Hollywood history from the 1970s to the modern day. You begin as the founder of a scrappy production company, starting in a humble office with the goal of building a studio that rivals the industry's greatest. Whether you choose to inherit your starting $30 million for an easier start or take a traditional loan, the focus remains on making critical decisions that shape your cinematic legacy. The gameplay is thorough, requiring you to select themes, genres, and age ratings while matching them for maximum success. You hire directors and actors, playfully name their spoonerisms like Key and Deaton, based on their affinity for the script and box office draw. You must balance budgets across writing, sets, and effects, using sliders to allocate effort strategically. As you progress, you unlock research points to expand into sequels, franchises, and advanced production features like creature designs or stunt work. Visually, the game utilizes clean interfaces and intuitive menus centered around your evolving office. While the graphics are simple, the attention to detail, like the daylight cycle during production, adds to the immersion. The music complements this with a glitzy cinematic feel. Although the game can feel like a second job due to its heavy reliance on spreadsheets and data analysis, it offers a realistic representation of the industry's highs and lows. If you've ever dreamed of being a Hollywood mogul, this simulation offers an addictive, deep experience. And number 4 we have After Us, a full-blown 3D platformer that attempts to balance a poignant environmental message with traditional gameplay. Guided by a giant tree, you control a godly protagonist named Gaia, whose tasked with freeing the ghosts of extinct animals and combating global pollution on a ruined, desolate Earth. Visually, the game is absolutely stunning. You'll explore tragic, decimated environments like highways of floating cars and dusty wastelands filled with decaying buildings. Utilizing your nature powers to coat metal structures in lush green grass is highly satisfying, and releasing animal spirits brings the linear levels beautifully to life. However, the actual gameplay struggles to stick the landing. You'll spend a lot of time jumping between abandoned cars and climbing structures, but Gaia feels very floaty to control. Landing exactly where you intend to is quite challenging, leading to frequent deaths from high falls or instant kill patches of evil goo. The combat is even more frustrating. You must fight the Devourers, greedy zombie-like humans, by launching a magical floating orb, but this projectile attack rarely hits its target and inflicts minimal damage. Fights routinely devolve into tedious button mashing when enemies inevitably grab you. Furthermore, you'll encounter noticeable technical hiccups, as the experience regularly freezes for a few seconds when loading new areas. While you likely appreciate the beautiful art direction and noble message about human overconsumption, the uninspiring combat and loose platforming prevent this emotional journey from being truly great. And number 5 we have Bloodshed, a survivors-like bullet heaven game masked as a classic 1990s boomer shooter. You play as a cast of 7 unlockable characters tasked with taking down an evil cult before they can unleash an undead apocalypse. While the retro aesthetic suggests a traditional first-person shooter, the gameplay loop relies entirely on surviving arena waves. You choose a specific weapon loadout and drop into a stage where you must slaughter an absolute console-melting amount of skeletons and zombies. As you gather experience gems from fallen enemies, you choose between 3 random upgrades to tailor your build. There's no ammo to manage, allowing you to hold on the trigger constantly. In fact, you might find yourself switching on the autofire toggle after the very first level to save your fingers from endless blasting. Visually and orally, the game hits hard. The vintage art style looks incredible, the guns sound exceptionally loud, the gibbs feel delightfully juicy, and the music stays appropriately hectic. However, you'll likely notice that the game lacks serious long-term bite. The stages do not change dynamically, and the secrets you discover are simple collectibles rather than hidden rooms. Because the loop revolves entirely around surviving until a specific timer or kill count is met, the formula quickly breeds repetition. Within a few hours, you may feel like you've seen everything on offer. This is a fun distraction, provided you know exactly what you're getting into. And number 6 we have The Iron Oath, a mercenary management title and tactical RPG that plays out like the love child of a tactics game and a tycoon game. Set in the vivid dynamic world of Calum, you take the lead of a mercenary band traveling from town to town to find work and keep the wolves from the door. An inevitable betrayal by a cohort sets up a classic story of vengeance and sword-to-face action, taking place alongside a demonic invasion. Most of your time is spent smacking about hordes of demons, undead, and human miscreants on a familiar tactical hex grid. You recruit from classic fantasy classes like Stormcallers, Valkyries, and Pugilists, evoking an awesome 1980s sword and sorcery film vibe. While customization is minimal, your mercenaries feature unique personalities that dictate how they react to your management and leadership decisions. Be prepared for a steep learning curve. This game can feel deliberately mean at the start, and you might occasionally want to shut it down and walk away in frustration. However, sticking with it is well worth the effort. The game utilizes a beautiful 16-bit visual and auditory style reminiscent of the Commodore Amiga era. Without modern graphical bells and whistles cluttering the screen, you're left with a wonderful clarity and a streamlined nature that lets the dynamic world and deep combat systems leap straight to the fore. It is an excellent tactical experience, and if you give it a try, you absolutely will not regret it. At number 7 we have Midnight Fight Express, a modern beat-em-up with a relentless onslaught of violence, brought to life through extensive motion capture animations. Developed by a game developer and a couple of stuntmen, the game offers a frenetic combat experience that is both diverse and satisfying. You play Babyface, a one-man army facing a myriad of enemies, armed with an impressive array of combat moves reminiscent of the Batman Arkham games. The core gameplay, characterized by fast-paced and kinetic action, seamlessly integrates elements like dodging, grappling, and lethal finishing moves. As you progress through the skill tree, your repertoire expands, introducing ground pounds, uppercuts, power slides, and unique abilities like a rope for manipulating foes. The game's combat diversity is further enriched by hundreds of motion capture moves, contextual finishers, and a variety of weapons, from knives to firearms. While the story takes a back seat, the game's scoring system, level-specific challenges, and leaderboards enhance replayability across 41 diverse levels. Despite occasional interruptions from frequent and often unnecessary dialogue, the game's dynamic environments, including nightclubs, high-rise buildings, and satirical game studios, provide a varied backdrop for the intense combat. The only significant drawback lies in the awkward placement of finishers and the revolver on the same button. Nevertheless, Midnight Fight Express stands out as a great brawler, offering depth, variety, and satisfaction in its blood-spattered combat. As it competes with other genre contenders, the game's excellence in motion capture and combat mechanics makes it a compelling choice for those seeking an accomplished beat-em-up. At number 8 we have Citizen Sleeper. Citizen Sleeper invites you into a captivating world where survival hinges on the roll of the dice. This dice-spending RPG immerses you in the struggles of a synthetic being on a space station city teeming with revolutionaries, refugees, and pirates. In this Blade Runner-esque setting, you'll navigate the daily routine of a fugitive replicant, balancing mundane tasks with the constant threat of pursuit by the corporation that created you. Citizen Sleeper excels at immersing you in the rhythm of everyday life, encouraging you to live out a routine that includes sleeping, eating, working, and even caring for a stray cat. Each day begins with a roll of dice, determining the outcomes of your actions. Whether you're performing menial tasks to survive or delving into the data cloud to hack systems, every decision carries weight. The game's focus on ordinary people and their interconnected stories brings depth to the experience, with characters depicted through expressive anime portraits and compelling narratives. As you explore the station and forge relationships, you'll encounter a variety of challenges, from managing your deteriorating condition to evading hunters sent by the corporation. Yet, with time and strategic planning, you'll uncover solutions to these obstacles and shape your destiny. Despite minor flaws like typos or occasional glitches, Citizen Sleeper's rich storytelling and multiple endings make it a memorable experience. Whether you're gambling at the Tambor Tea Room or renovating a bar, every moment feels significant, drawing you deeper into its evocative world. Ultimately, Citizen Sleeper is an immersive life sim RPG that will keep you engrossed from start to finish, offering an experience you won't want to wake up from. At number 9 we have DISCOPUP, a surreal mystery puzzle game where you play as a seal desperately trying to sneak into a dogs-only nightclub before its 2 AM closing time. To bypass a strict bouncer, you must explore a retro city, managing your limited time wisely to scavenge accessories and assemble the ultimate canine costume. Along your journey, you'll interrogate an incredibly unique cast of quirky, shady characters, including a cowboy puppy, a mind-reading ferret, and a suspicious wolf granny. This hidden gem delivers an immaculate blend of comedy, mystery, and deeper esoteric themes that feel like David Lynch directing Animal Crossing. The item-based puzzles are tightly designed, making for a short, small-scope adventure that lasts roughly 3 to 8 hours. However, the experience is packed with replay value. Scraping every last drop out of the world through multiple reruns reveals entirely fresh experiences. Visually, the game bursts with charm and refreshing character designs where absolutely nobody feels copied. The ultimate unique feature is the audio. The game features a banging, immaculate soundtrack that will have you wishing for a physical vinyl release. With the price of a bundle, it is an absolute steal that will surprise you and sit with you much longer than you initially expect. Players completely fall in love with its comforting yet thrilling atmosphere, often getting utterly hooked until hitting 100% completion. You should definitely go into this highly recommended, beautifully crafted indie puzzle game as blind as humanly possible. At number 10 we have Scarmonde, an 8-bit styled dungeon crawler wherein you assemble a party from 12 classes to brave the depths in search of the dragon god's sacred treasures. Throwing back to classic NES era Final Fantasy and Ultima, this gameplay-first RPG ditches dense dialogue, immediately thrusting your customized team into brutal turn-based combat. Party composition is paramount. You'll lock in 4 distinct classes, from knights to bards, and stick with them. Character growth shines through a free-form magic orb system. Instead of following strict skill trees, you spend orbs to unlock any passive or spell directly. Late-game permanent subclassing adds further customization, allowing you to load multiple subclasses onto a single hero. Combat is wonderfully punishing, requiring strict tactical preparation. Unlike most RPGs where status elements are useless, here they're vital for survival. You'll find yourself relying on poisonous dragons, binding giants, or using dedicated tanks to absorb lethal multi-attacks. The game is not without flaws. Half the classes suffer from identity issues by sharing overlapping spell pools, and the random encounter rate makes backtracking frustrating. Furthermore, the UI requires excessive button presses to execute actions. Scarmonde balances old-school grind with modern conveniences, packing an 18-hour campaign, post-game bosses, and a hidden random dungeon mode. It is a content-rich experience, perfect for Steam Deck play. If you love deep mechanics, theory crafting, and unforgiving retro challenges where strategy thrives over mindless leveling, Scarmonde delivers a highly rewarding adventure. And that's all for this bundle. This bundle is an absolute win for your backlog. For just $9.99 to $19.95, you can draft 3, 5, or 7 certified bangers into your Steam library. Heavy hitters like Metro Exodus Gold Edition and Citizen Sleeper deliver massive value, while hidden gems like Scarmonde are earning major hype from the community. If you want to maximize your gaming budget or cop some high-tier titles, building this custom bundle is a total no-brain meta play. In any case, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if this video was helpful, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Maybe consider buying the channel a coffee. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.